Hi, it's Joanna Torch. I'm from Family Law Cafe. It's business where we take your family law matter and we help you through it, get you everything you need. Barristers, solicitors, experts, pension advisors, financial advisors, and we hope what we do is strategize and take you through. Today I'm going to speak to Isabelle Hung of Divorce Club. I'm going to have a chat, and I've just said, just ask me any questions you like. Don't know what she's going to ask. So let's get her on board. Here she is.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm going to pick the phone up. I was trying to prop it up. How are you?
Good, thank you. Just staying, enjoying the sunshine, and it's nice to be with you on this nice sunny evening.
It's lovely. Don't know if you could hear my the washing machine just suddenly went into overdrive, so it's a bit of background noise. That's what it is. All live. So what I thought today was
Yeah, we would just have a chat a bit about you and and some things that might be interesting for some of our listeners from Divorce Club. So just tell us a bit about your background, really, for starters.
so I'm a barrister. I grew up, oh, quite old. I went to state school, went to a grammar school, thought I'd be a barrister because I'd seen it on TV. It's literally as basic as that. I was quite good at, well, I was good at school. In those days, there were quite a few things that certainly I would think, oh, but women don't do that. But because I'd seen barristers on TV, a television program called Crown Court, I thought I can do that. My mother sent me to stage school and I was a really terrible actress, just absolutely awful. And I did think I'd like to be a film director. That was in my mind. And I did think, oh, yeah, but they don't have women film directors. I obviously they do now, they have loads. But I thought, yeah, I could write my own stuff, perform it. I became a criminal barrister, did that for a while. I was doing a lot of sport.
Yeah, I just found out you were a high-level rower.
Yeah, yeah, I lived by the river. I'd always done a lot of sport. My father was a boxer way before I was born. So sport was just always happening in my family. I was ice skating when I was 2. I was water skiing when I was 7. I was swimming and playing squash, and then I ended up rowing. So, and I got
So
into
quite a
that.
high level.
Yes.
Don't be modest.
Yeah. So I went to a women's rowing club and with a group of I went to a crew club to the Junior World Championships. Then I got into the Olympic squad and I was then doing that international rowing for about, I don't know, 10, 12 years. So I did that end of school and then through my time being a barrister up until I was 31. So there was kind of overlap. So
I mean, the reason I quite like that fact is that I think it shows so much determination in you. It's such a difficult sport. I mean, it sort of looks easy and sort of it does, doesn't it? It looks easy because you're sort of floating on the river. It also kind of when it's done well, everyone's kind of in unison and it looks lovely. But actually, I've tried a bit. It was the most painful thing I've ever done. So you can't be afraid of pain if you're going to do rowing, and also you have to really support people because you can't just give up and everything in your body's hurting, but you've got to keep going, haven't you?
it's brutal. I think that's why people love it so much. It's become a really big women's sport now, which is great, and it is a team
Yeah.
sport, you say. Obviously, you get the single scullers, and I do that as well. But I really like the team side of it, and I still go out with. This morning I was out with 3 people that I started with. We were like 17, 18 years old. We still go out now once a week, and it's hard not to do it. It's very, very competitive and it is brutal, and it's very bonding. And
Yeah.
obviously, because it's a team sport, you have to do the same thing. You have to get on with each other. Even if
Yeah.
sometimes you might be in a crew that you wouldn't, that much get on with the person, but at a basic level, because you're doing the identical movement, there's a lot of technique in it. you have to find a way
And
to.
I just think it just shows that you're just something about you that I think it's kind of makes sense in family and all. There's something about teamwork and you know, your journey through it and just kind of wanting to help people and be part of this team. And you know, you've really got a lovely team around you. I've met some of your team, and you obviously got on really well with them. And yeah, not afraid
Yeah, I mean,
of a bit
yeah.
of pain as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything, it kind of, I learned so much that what I was good at in a boat. I mean, if you meet me, compared to a lot of rowers, I'm not as big as a lot of the people I competed against. And so I got sneaky with it. I just try to make other people, you know, bring out the best in them. So I used to do, if you know about rowing, I was in Cox's boats. And so I would do the calls, which is the strategy and the race plan. And when you're in a race and you're, you know, really at your
And the person who likes to be in control.
In control, yeah. But I love, you've got to work in a team, and I love to work in teams. And weirdly, I mean, probably no coincidence, we are an all-women team at Family Law Cafe with 5 of us. And we're all very different. We did a profiling thing recently, and really interesting, very different skills sets.
Oh, seeing your personality.
Yeah.
Right.
And
interesting.
It's good.
And you know, one thing, because you've been in the business now, because I know that you've also done a mediation qualification as well. You've done a bit of that, and obviously now you're setting up this business. What do you think are the most common mistakes people make when divorcing? Do you think?
Well, the reason I set up Family Law Cafe was because as a barrister, I was doing a lot of cases, particularly finance cases, where people would come to me and they had, you know, there's one, you know, I'm sure she won't mind me saying it if she's watching, but, you know, by the time she came to me, she'd spent over £400,000 and
oh my God,
had to represent herself at the second hearing. And what people do, they want the best. Everyone wants the best. And they think most expensive has to be the best. And sometimes people don't really understand and look at their case and think, who's the best person for me? So there isn't just one lawyer out there who is the best. There's lots of very good people. And so finding the person that's right for you is absolutely crucial. And so that's one of the biggest things. And I don't want people spending huge amounts of money unless it's worth it. And I've met a man, I think it was about 6 months ago. There's nothing to, he said he spent £1 million on his divorce, and he drives a van now. That's just mad, isn't it? And I said,
it's
what?
madness.
And he said, you know, and I love my lawyer, and he said, just, it didn't make any sense at all.
No, I'm sure his lawyer loves him too. He spent $1 million on his divorce. Yeah,
made no
right.
sense. And that now, and you know, because it's usually a one-time purchase, isn't it? Because you know, not many people are, you know, serially getting divorced, and so they don't know.
I mean, I had 10 divorces. He's in his 50s.
Sorry?
But yes, I did meet one person who's had 10 divorces.
Oh,
I don't know how he's. I think he'd have learned something by now, but yeah.
10 divorces. I dealt with a lady who was very nice. That was her 4th divorce. So, yeah. I think they're hopeless romantics, aren't they? It's going to work next time.
Yeah, so any other mistakes that people make, do you reckon?
I think they get lost in the fight. You know,
I think that's a big one. You need to sort of sit down at the beginning, don't you, and think, what are my limits? Because, you know, you never know how far you're going to get pushed, and suddenly you're £400,000 down, and you know, you spent the last kind of few years completely focused on this, and you're like, what have I just done? So I think yeah, I think you're absolutely right, isn't it? Deciding at the start, maybe.
I would say all the way through. So, you know, when it starts, you know, so many cases, you know, the first letter is, we want this all to be amicable. Yeah. And, you know, 2-3 months later, this, that, and people just get caught up. So you've got to be thinking all the time, You really do. You know, is it worth arguing about this thing? You know, and just pull back. And if you need to, you don't have to win every point. You just got to choose the things that are important, and always be thinking of your strategy, and not just being reactive. The biggest thing I always do is get people to set the agenda. Is if you're not setting the agenda, it's not going to go well. That's what I think.
Yeah, and if you do see someone making mistakes, what what do you do? Do you?
Look, everybody has a choice. It's absolutely people's choice of what they want to do, and I'd want to empower people, and I just want them to have all the knowledge that they could possibly have and make their own decision, and get help if they need. So if they are extremely stressed, make sure they get someone who is, you know, like yourself. You're a psychologist. You know, they may need to see a counselor, a psychologist, and just step back a bit and just make sure they're making the right decisions. Because obviously going through, you know, people go mad when they fall in love, and equally when they're going through divorce, they're probably quite emotionally unbalanced, of course.
Yeah, it can bring out the worst in you, can't it? Definitely.
Yes, I mean, it's the most difficult litigation. I mean, in other areas of law, you might be dealing with a contract, you might have committed a crime. It's quite simple, isn't it? You know, but what could be more difficult than the contract of marriage and dealing with all the financial arrangements and the child arrangements? There's so many different areas. It's not just, it's about the law, and that's the framework, but there's a lot, there's so much to it. You know, there's yourself, the other side, your lawyer, their lawyer, and all that complex interaction of different personalities.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And sort of, I think it's just so frightening. So many people just don't know what's next.
Yeah, that's a really big thing. So what
Yeah,
I'd like to say to people is, you know, a lot of people, when I first come to them, they say, oh yeah, it's going really well, I've sorted everything out. And I just think, you're only, you know, kind of 20% through, and you spent 100,000, and I know you're just coming up to the first appointment. And, you know, if it goes all the way, then you need to consider it as a project, and don't spend all your money, you know, on simple basic things. You need to be told, you know. So I try to tell people, to explain the different process, and decide where to use your resources, like anything else. You know, if you were building a house, you wouldn't just spend, you know, everything on the first 3 months of the project. You need to work it out as a project. What do you need to have? Another thing I'd say is, people, I think, borrowing money from your family, you know, really, you know, I think you should perhaps either, you know, they often considered as soft loans, get a commercial loan or a litigation loan, or ask the other side to pay your costs. You know, I think
yeah.
people are just borrowing it from their aunts and friends. I'm always amazed by how people will, it's fantastic that they do this, but I sometimes wonder what happens long term, that people have borrowed the money from someone who loves them, but they don't always get that money back.
Well, yeah, it's not an investment, is it? Like,
It's a strange
I mean,
kind of investment, isn't it?
yeah, probably you're better off putting it in, I don't know, a nice ISA, or probably actually some kind of stocks and shares. Yeah, it's probably more reliable than a, you
You've
know.
just got to, you know, think of it, step back, um, think of all of the possibilities, and get that advice. And I think that what people often do is they go to a lawyer, whichever kind, and they have their first meeting. It's all great, but they don't know what questions to ask, and that expert could be very well meaning, but isn't going to, they don't go into all the detail of what the possibilities are, where it's going to go. And what I try to do when people come to us is say, I try to work out, you know, it's in terms of how much is there in terms of the assets, in terms of the issues. So different cases are going to cost different amounts. And I'm just trying to be realistic with people. And the way we work is there's a monthly sum, and then you pay for other things that you need. And if you don't need it, there's a lot of stuff you can do yourself, and that's adding value. So if things are going to cost, it's not going to be free if there are assets, if there's issues, because it can be quite complex. However, don't throw your money away on things that you don't need to spend it on. There's quite a lot that you can do yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So have you got any books that you'd recommend as well? I always find it interesting hearing, are there any favourite divorce books?
So do you know, there's one I'm reading and I want to get him on here. It's a book. What's it called? I don't have it here. It's on my bookshelf. Not got it with me. So I was just reading a book which is written by a social worker. I think it's called something like Giving Evidence in the Family Court. I'm going to invite him on here and have a chat. It's really good. It's he's written it quite recently, and he's a social worker. And I just thought, how much is there to say? A whole book, really? But it's very good because it goes through the whole things that you need to think about. So in a children case, what the court is looking for, what good parenting is, the sort of things you need to think about, and then how you would give evidence and how you'd be cross-examined, etc., etc. I think anyone that's going to a family case should read that book. So I think I might contact him and say, look, I'm just finishing this. I think it's called Giving Evidence in the Family Court. And I think he's called Michael. Can't think of his second name.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've all been watching. Probably, have you been watching the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard
I was just
divorce?
talking about that. I was just talking about with my partner about that, and I haven't really watched it because I'm not keen on watching car crashes. Obviously, we all have a look, but really,
that is
all happening.
sometimes there are some bad divorces out there. That is one of them, isn't it?
No one's winning, really, are they?
No one is winning there. No one is coming. No one's coming out of that looking nice. No one needs to see all that thing. So anyway, don't let it get that bad, people.
Yeah, it's a salutary lesson, isn't it? But of course, that it's Hollywood, and it's
people are unlikely to follow most of our divorces. So, that's a silver lining, is it, of not being famous, no one caring about us, is that no one is going to watch our divorce.
Yeah, it's interesting. I probably will watch a little bit of it, but I almost just want to, look away because it's really, really sad to have all of that played out in public. And obviously, that's why in family law there's a huge move for privacy. Interesting that they are showing it all, and it's probably fascinating to see. But I don't know how it's helping anyone. But maybe I'm missing something. I
think it's helping some lawyers out there, and probably helping some people feel better about their own divorce, because that is a bad one. That has got personal, hasn't it?
Well,
I mean, divorce is personal, but
yeah. I mean, you were talking about my thoughts, and the trouble is that sometimes there's not a way of stopping something. If I strongly feel that sometimes people need to say, okay, this needs to stop now, and there needs to be a way of ending it, just to go on and on until it just becomes this battle and people get lost in the battle. And
that's a classic example, is it? People are getting, to bring us full circle, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are a classic example of people getting lost in the battle, and then the more you invest in it, the more you feel the need to win, don't you? In fact, it's the more money you've thrown into it, the harder it is to go, you know what, I'm going to let you have this.
See, I'm turning it on its head, you see. What you have to remember, people will say, oh, we ran up so much money, it was the lawyers, and oh, we wouldn't have done it. The trouble is, obviously, as a lawyer, if someone comes to me, I can take on your case, I can, we can do that. But that's why I set up Family Law Cafe, to turn it on its head and say, what we're doing is we're just acting for you. So come to us. We're insiders. We'll tell you, what's worth spending your money and what isn't. So we're acting for you. Does that make sense? So rather than most people will go to a lawyer, and obviously if a case runs on and on, the lawyer you just keep going, don't you? You could have a case going on for years. It's not helping. I don't think that's helping the couple ultimately. It's sure helping the lawyers. So what I'm trying to do is, when people come to us at Family Law Cafe, we're saying, you know, what are the things that you need? Because obviously I strongly think you do need lawyers. You only don't need lawyers when you have no assets, no children, and that's fine, isn't it? You're not going to need a lawyer then. But a lawyer can add value. The problem is when you just go in and keep spending with the lawyer, and you don't have, you haven't thought about where you want it to end, because ultimately you can just keep going and going in a family case. There's always going to be arguments and things that people can bring up and allegations they can make against the other. And you have to remember, this is a couple with no children. I suppose that's a good thing.
Yes.
I be careful what I say here.
Them to have no kids together, definitely, I think.
Well, because there are these terrible cases where people for years are arguing about children matters, and there's no right or wrong, but you know, there has to be a way to be found.
Well,
So
in couples therapy, you do learn that there is often no compromise. It's like the majority of arguments, like 65% or something of arguments, have no compromise. And I think if you can remember that sometimes when you're within a couple or divorcing, that it's normal that, you know, the other person not backing down, and there is no halfway. And again, that can take a bit of the anger out, and it can stop you just getting sucked in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see it from the psychotherapist side.
Yeah.
I just see it from people coming to me and needing things done as a lawyer. And I think it's really valuable to not just get carried away, and as I say, just keep spending, because whatever you want a lawyer to do, you know, we will do it. But if you don't think about your strategy and what it is that you're ultimately looking for, then you can just keep spending to know, you know, obviously you're going to get something better, but is it that much better? That's what you've got to think about. You always got to think almost as a business deal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm aware that you wanted to go to a concert tonight.
I'm going to
some comedy.
Well, it's a bit unusual, isn't it, Sunday? So I'm looking forward to that. So
I think more comedy on a Sunday night. Sunday nights are often a bit depressing, aren't they? So we should be going to see comedy on a Sunday night.
Well, we were talking earlier, weren't we? And I said I'd had a lovely day just relaxing, reading a book, and you said there's just no chance of that. I said you've got to wait 20 years now once you have children.
Yeah.
And Sunday
so
night,
quite a way off.
Settling down, isn't it? And making sure everything's done for school, and you know, I remember those days. And so nice, luckily my children are adults, so I can just do something on Sunday evening. So that would be fun.
Yes, lovely. So yeah, you enjoy your comedy night, and I will see you very soon, hopefully.
See you soon. It's been lovely to chat to you. Yeah, see you soon. Bye, everybody that's been listening. I hope we've said something of value. If not, we do our best here. Always, you can always suggest things to talk about. Today was totally unscripted. So hopefully there was something that you picked up from it. But leave some comments and have a lovely week, and see you Wednesday. On Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about what happens in a final hearing in a children matter. So I'm going to go through how that runs. So if that's of value, join us, and see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, then. Bye.
Bye. Bye.